Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And I'm here today to talk about the summer solstice. But this isn't just any summer solstice. This is a special summer solstice because while we will be enjoying the longest day of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, we will also be enjoying the planets Mercury, Mars, and Venus, all being in the house that they rule. This is a very rare event. Usually they are close to the sun, but not in their domicile, not where they govern what happens in that house. So this is really, really exciting and powerful because to me, it is an opportunity to really reflect on the things that these planets represent and to set another intention, or let's say this, to confirm an intention that we may have set at the solar eclipse, that we may have set at the lunar eclipse. We've got over the last few years some very significant transits that only happen in the timing is, I guess I want to say, rare with many of these. Uranus being in Taurus only once every 84 years. Pluto meeting the natal Pluto of the United States chart, which only happens once every 284 years. The reason I bring these things up is because these are pivotal times. Many refer to them as the ascension. When I think about that term, the ascension, I get a little bit locked up because it makes me feel like I'm going from bottom place to a higher place. I believe what people mean when they're talking about the ascension is us ascending into a place of awareness that reconciles the experiences that we call forth on the planet Earth in order to facilitate our soul's growth and evolution and awareness. So I'm very excited about the idea of the summer solstice being the longest day of the year. I believe that it is a time when we really start to look at our emotional body. And I say that because it doesn't start in a fire sign like you would think. You know, we think of summer as very sunny. It starts in Cancer, a sign that's ruled by the moon. So I think that this is super important to see how are we adding fun, enjoyment, and some sunlight into our emotional body. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen with you so that I can show you the various aspects and the things that intrigued me about this and why I decided I wanted to talk about them today. Because I think when we embrace these astrological dynamics, they give us a support to really trust and have faith and intention and to understand the ebb and the flow of manifestation. It's really not a go, 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 go. It's sort of a go, stop, wait for an illumination, an inspiration, and then go, stop, wait for an illumination. So let me share my screen with you now and show you what I find interesting about this chart. So let me go here. All righty, hope you can see. So what we're going to see, so this is the summer solstice. We see that the sun here at the 0 degree of Cancer. I hope you can see that. And the things that I think are so important are Mercury is here at 7 degrees Gemini. Some places on the internet were saying 8 degrees. I checked it a couple times and it kept coming up here as 7 degrees. We also have Venus at almost at the house cusp of Gemini at 28 degrees Taurus, where she is the lordess of the manor. And then we can see Mars right here at 20 degrees of Aries. Now, each one of these points recently has crossed over it's crossed over Jupiter and Chiron. And I'm bringing these 2 points up because Jupiter represents our beliefs, represents philosophical ideas and education, and Chiron represents the wound that the soul brings into this experience to work on. So I believe that Mercury has had a conversation with these 2 planets as it continued forward, coming to where it is now in its natural home. I believe that Venus as well had a conversation, as did Mars. So let's think, what does Mercury represent? It represents the rational mind, how we learn. It represents our communications of all kind. It represents our thoughts, our siblings, our teammates, our communities, our roadways, our interactions with our fellow employees. And it represents verbal persuasion. It's a little bit different than when Mercury is in Virgo. So there's going to be a lot going on here about our thought process. And I believe that the sextile, we have a sextile between Mercury and Jupiter here, which is supporting the idea of thinking in new directions, in really examining how much faith we have that the pattern we've already known, the experiences we've already had in our everyday lives and with our everyday peer group, our siblings, has the ability to transcend to a more angelic place. You know, the Jupiter rules the judges, the judicial system, which inherently speaks of fairness, and it rules the connection to the angelic realm. So this is giving me an opportunity to really think about my faith, about my pattern of beliefs, and if indeed it has served me up until now. If not, the idea of the summer solstice happening in the nurturing sign of Cancer allows me an opportunity to revisit how I nurture my mind to align with, now let's go over to Venus. Venus is my self-worth. Venus is my possessions. It rules my voice. It rules beauty. It rules relationships and the cooperation within relationships. It rules money and art. It rules jewelry, makeup. It also rules to love and be loved, and our ability to feel being loved and to love outwardly. So I think with this idea that Venus has not only had conversations as she transited through past Jupiter, past Chiron, and then she met with Uranus and the North Node just recently. So this is the conversation that is most fresh in her mind. And as we see her here at the 28th degree, we see this, the Cancerian degree. How will I nurture myself as I go into Gemini? What will I nurture my thoughts? How will I think about my voice that as I express myself? And I think that this particular dynamic of Venus being here creates also a square up to Saturn. This can be sometimes what people will call, it could stoke the fears, it could feel a little depressing, a little repressive, but I believe with the natural or the ancient ruler of Aquarius being Saturn, it's about an innovative look at the structure of my relationships, at how I value myself in my relationships. I believe that Saturn is really sitting in an energy that has evolved past wanting to limit us, wanting to repress us, but rather, if we feel Saturn holding us back in some way, I think that this square is creating a friction in order to illuminate, is peace at any price really peace? Is cooperation within a relationship beyond my own self-worth really cooperation, or is it depletion or diminishing me in some way? Saturn is asking Venus if she's willing to do the hard work of believing in herself, in trusting that she is rewriting the historic narrative that she has told herself throughout this experience. And here's where I believe Saturn really, while it is a square and feeling tense, it's an opportunity to look at Saturn as a real father figure that is doing what's good for me, not necessarily what feels good for me in the moment. So I celebrate this and I surrender to the square between Venus and Saturn. We also have Mars right here having a very fresh conversation with Chiron. Chiron being the wound that we come into this earth with, the wound that also has the ability to heal because it is also a gift. And it's had a recent conversation with Jupiter. So this is where Mars is in service to Jupiter because it becomes the peaceful warrior. This is where I believe that this conversation that Mars has had with Jupiter and Chiron is now saying, I am willing to be the peaceful warrior. I'm willing to have courage in the face of my fears and really vet out where I have let my own resentments, my own anger thwart my efforts. I believe that Mars is sitting in a new version of itself that's saying, I want to play to the hero in me. I don't want to just survive a transformation. I want to thrive through that transformation. And in doing so, we see Mars being willing to look into the deeper psychological dynamics of its own behavior. We have to remember that Mars is the co-ruler of Scorpio, and Scorpio very much rules our psychology. So here we see these three planets who rarely are at home at the same time, really celebrating this solstice by putting an intention out that says, I am ready to create my life in a much more intentional and aware way, which is what is facilitating the ascension of my soul, as well as the ascension of this planet. The final thing that I wanted to talk about is this, where's my little notes here? Well, I don't see them, but I want to talk about the sextile between Neptune and Pluto right now. Pluto rules control, it rules secrecy, it rules dominance, it rules sex and other people's money, it rules death and rebirth. It is retrograde in Capricorn, which I believe is going to create this death of any illusions that we may have, any deceptions that we may tell ourselves, and any patterns of disempowerment that we may tell ourselves. So we have this sextile between the planet of fantasy and illusion and the planet of rebirth, the phoenix rising. And all of this is facilitated by Saturn here in a semi-sextile. While normally a semi-sextile is not a real powerful aspect, here it's a bridge between these 2 points. And in creating that bridge, it's really something that is giving us an opportunity to look long-term about what we want to experience. The house of Aquarius is naturally the 11th house, which is an upachaya house, which is a house of reward. It's delayed reward. It happens as we become more seasoned on this planet. So I believe that this semi-sextile that Saturn is representing, the bridge between Neptune and Pluto, is giving us an opportunity to unearth subconscious beliefs and patterns, Pluto, that have been blocking our inherent gifts, which are represented by the higher vibrations of Neptune, our spiritual dynamic, an ability to go into our emotional body and to be able to allow ourselves to rise up. Abraham talks often about a cork on the water and how we have to push down that cork to keep it under the water, that it naturally wants to rise up. Well, this is where we see Saturn, in some respects, pushing down on the cork of our Neptune spiritual life so that we can really dig down to how we're contributing to those patterns, and then unlocking the pattern so that it reveals the inherent gifts that are there for us to take advantage of. So this summer solstice, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. This particular summer solstice is an opportunity for us to really become much more aware and intentional. It's much more powerful in the ability. I believe that Mercury is representing the mind, Mars is representing the body, Venus is representing the soul or the emotional body. And as these come into cooperation with each other by sitting in a vibration of acceptance for the journey rather than condemnation. There's no need to regret where we've been. There's no need to feel like we've lost time in some way, but rather to allow ourselves to use these energies as tools that make us the vibrant, intentional, creative manifestors that we are. As we walk through the light and the dark that these times show us, they aren't meant to polarize us as much as we are meant to seek the cooperation of the two elements. And in knowing that without these two elements, the human experience would be muted. It would be dumbed down. The human does not usually by nature take advantage of their gifts. Oftentimes they will put them aside and then focus on what is most difficult. And that's usually what is not natural to us. So these moments when we see the summer solstice coming together with these planets sitting in their natural homes, and having that be so personal to our earthly experience is invaluable in what it offers us if we're willing to take the invitation. So Mars is asking us to be brave and courageous and to pull the hero out. Stop telling the story that Mars is a warrior. Mars just wants to go in and blow everything up. It's not true. And Venus, while she is oftentimes referred to as a very loving energy, she can be very jealous and envious sometimes. And so this gives her an opportunity to use her voice and to trust that her voice is enough. And that will provide the security she needs. And then ultimately, Mercury is giving us an opportunity to see where the monkey mind can run amok. But it is necessary to pay attention to the details so that we can create the life we want to in a way that not only serves ourselves by being able to live happy and to live a life. When I say happy, I feel like it's not like I'm walking around like, oh, I'm so happy. It feels more like when something gets disruptive or interruptive or appears unpleasant to others, there must be some pearl there. There must be something I'm missing because I'm only looking at the surface. So now Mercury is getting just a wee bit deeper in how it's perceiving its everyday activities, how it's communicating with the self. And in doing so, it's offering a bridge between the thought and the experience. And all of that feels like that is what the ascension is to me. So during this time of the summer solstice, some of you may be in the southern hemisphere experiencing the winter solstice. A lot of these things I think will still be in play as far as the aspects go. The idea that it's your winter solstice in some ways may give you an opportunity to reflect, to allow for the closing of a chapter so that a new chapter may be birthed, and also to give you an opportunity to see the beauty of the winter season, the beauty of what happens when all the leaves fall off the trees and everything looks as if it has died. And yet it's only in hibernation to come into a vibrant, colorful life over again in the spring. So this was what compelled me this week, was this exciting aspect that we don't usually see on a solstice. And I don't remember in my lifetime it happening. So it might have happened. I've been around a while. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, please subscribe. I will be back with more videos coming up in the next few days. And be sure to join me on Sunday mornings live, 11 a.m. Pacific time, for Traversing the Transits with Teri Hunter. That's where we get the angels' advice for taking advantage of the astrological weather in the week ahead. So please like, please subscribe. Be sure to hit that notification bell. And if you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below in the description. I'll be back soon. Peace out, everybody.